Hello, my lovely humans. I am filming this on March 1st, but we are talking about Thursday and Friday, day 4 and 5, respectively, of the Kouri Richins trial. So, we're going to talk about day 4 of the Kouri Richins trial. So, Kouri Richins, if you are brand new, don't know anything about this, you've just come across this, she has been accused of poisoning her husband, Eric Richins. And on day 4, we started out with Chelsea Gibson continuing her cross-examination and redirect, where she was asked why didn't they ask Kouri permission to do more of a thorough search on March 3rd / March 4th when the incident happened at 3:58 in the morning. And Chelsea just was unbothered, or Miss Gibson, I should say. I'm not familiar with her, but she said we could, but we didn't. And the reason why they might not always ask to do a search, because they could have gotten permission from her because she is the homeowner. And it's because when somebody just found their loved one not breathing, cold to the touch, and they had to call 911 and they were declared deceased, that's a lot of trauma and duress. And the defense could make an argument. See, right now they're arguing, why didn't you ask when you could have? Why didn't you get all the information and evidence you could have right now? But just as well, on the other side of that, the defense could go, why would you ask a grieving, sudden widow to search her home when she's under duress? Like, that's not actual consent. Distressful consent is not real consent. They could argue that too. So it's a very much a double-edged sword. Then because Eric Richins' family had hired private investigators and stuff, but that was because there was a whole separate estate lawsuit that Kouri Richins brought against the Richins family, who were, like, specifically Katie, who was the trustee of the estate. And so, yeah, they had investigators and stuff involved in that case. Well, they were trying to imply that the private investigator planted evidence for other law enforcement to find later on, and that the Eric Richins family was just trying to pin it on Kouri. So they were asking some good questions, and then we got the toxicologist. The toxicologist was asked nothing about THC. Now, the medical examiner had already confirmed multiple times that THC was not found in Eric Richins' system, which would kind of negate Kouri saying that he had a THC gummy before bed. But what was found in Eric Richins' system was quinipine. Quinipine was a drug, a prescription drug opioid that had been, as we saw in other days, I'll put up the picture, that was prescribed to Kouri. This can be used as a schizophrenic, bipolar mood stabilizer, but it can also be used in smaller doses as a sleep aid. Well, if it's Kouri's medicine, why is it in Eric's system? Scientific experts, they are very frustrating to me because they can't just answer basic questions. Because they never just answer yes or no. They're like, well, it depends on, and then they go into science. It's like, that's not what you were asked. No one else understands all your technological jargon. The toxicologist wasn't asked about THC one way or the other, but she was asked about fentanyl. She was like, yeah, there was fentanyl, but not only was there fentanyl, there was norfentanyl. Now, anytime there is a drug, so epinephrine, norepinephrine, it's because they are either artificial or real, or in this case with fentanyl, norfentanyl is a byproduct from the metabolization of fentanyl. So when the body takes in fentanyl, when it has been going through the metabolic system, the byproduct that comes from that is norfentanyl. But there was also acetylfentanyl. Acetylfentanyl is particular because you do not get acetylfentanyl as a byproduct from prescribed fentanyl for actual pain stuff that's clean and medical grade. You don't get acetylfentanyl. it's exclusively a street drug, that it's an unclean source, a non-medical sourced fentanyl. So that means that it is an illicit drug. The next fascinating thing that the toxicologist brought up was that the amount of alcohol that the toxicology lab had found in Eric's system was less than what a standard drink would be. There was also no way, as the medical examiner said, there wasn't really a way to tell how much of that alcohol or ethanol was just the body breaking down and becoming ethanol. And with that in mind, maybe they didn't have drinks at all, or at least maybe Eric didn't have alcohol at all. Now, of course, the toxicologist said, well, if you just took like a drink and then you were like, oh, I actually don't want the rest of this, or if you just took a drink to taste, like somebody was like, ooh, taste this flavor, and you just took a sip, then that could also be the case. Of course, there was no way for the toxicologist to know one way or the other, like the order of how stuff got in the system. It was all in the stomach. That's all they know. Now, the rest of the witnesses, or at least most of them, were very short witnesses. They seemed to be foundation witnesses that literally only got asked like 1 to 3 questions each by the prosecution. Now, that could be a strategy, or it could be they really don't need a lot of information from these people. It was like, did you receive bottles, or things? Did you do testing on these things? Okay, great, move along. But it could also be a strategy because cross-examination is limited to whatever was asked in direct examination. So if you ask for only this much in direct, there's only so much that can be asked of them on cross. We'll never know. But the next big witness who's come up on the stand is Carmen Lauber. Carmen is the person who flipped. She was Kouri Richins' friend / housekeeper. She cleaned for Kouri about once a week for 9 years. She was hired by Kouri's aunt. Kouri's aunt owned a cleaning place, and Kouri would have she was a client of her aunt, and Carmen was the person who came over and cleaned her house for 9 years. And they had a level of friendship, knowing each other, etc. And Carmen was the person who was getting drugs for Kouri Richins. And it's very important, Carmen Lauber was given immunity for her testimony, but she came forward before she was given immunity. Very important note, did she start talking after or before immunity? She came forward before she was granted immunity. And when asked why she did that before, when she could get in trouble, she said that she felt bad. She knew Eric too, and she knew that she had given pills to Kouri. And then when she found out that Eric had passed away shortly after she had gotten pills for Kouri, she had talked on speakerphone in the car with another person named Nick, and she was like, those pills weren't for Eric, right? Like, right, Kouri? You didn't give these things to Eric. And Carmen said that Kouri had told her that she thought he had died from a brain aneurysm. What is significant about that? It's significant because, one, when we watched the body cam footage from the officers a couple days ago, they had been talking about, well, maybe he died of a brain aneurysm. It was one of the things that they threw out there. This would also mark the second time that Kouri lied to somebody about what Eric died from. First, she told Eric's father that he died from a lung bacterial disease, and now she's told Carmen that he died of a brain aneurysm. Carmen later found out that Eric had actually died from a fentanyl overdose. She seemed genuinely overwhelmed with guilt. She was trying to keep herself together, but she was having what I viewed as a genuine, real emotional reaction, that she was riddled with guilt. She was like, I can't bear the thought that I contributed to this nice man's death somehow, that I got pills that led to him dying. Because drug people are actually pretty like, yeah, I'll get you pills, I'll get you drugs, I'll get you stuff, but they don't want anything to do with death. 2022, she had charges related to drugs. She got into drug court. Drug court is where you are given resources to get clean, but it is its own like little court system where instead of getting official charges on your record and going to like federal prison, you can still serve jail time through drug court, but you have to go to therapies, you have to be subjected to random urine analysis checks. You sometimes have to leave your job if you know people around you are doing drugs. And Carmen did say that she ended up leaving the cleaning business that she had been with for years because she knew people there were still active users. She said that she had gotten, how many times she had gotten pills for Kouri was a total of 4. 3 times before Eric's death and 1 time immediately after. So in early February, she got some from her friend Anne or Nicole, one of the two of them. I think it was Nicole Cummings. And then there was, then after Valentine's Day, Kouri asked for something stronger. Then she asked for something stronger a second time. And then after Eric had passed away around the 6th or the 7th, she had gotten a text from Kouri and she was like, oh, do you need anything? She's like, I could actually use something to clear my head. Can you get me something? And so she once again got another set of pills for Kouri that she delivered on the 9th. And the way these transactions went, according to Carmen, is that the first time her female friend was able to just give her stuff, she fronted $600 for Kouri. Kouri paid her back later in cash. Then, need a moment. Then Kouri had said, oh, can you get me something for an investor? An investor of hers had back pain and asked her to get her something. And Carmen said that she just went to people and went, hey, do you know somebody who's got some pills? And they were like, what kind of pills did you ask for? And she goes, when you're doing street drugs, you like, pills are pills. You just get what you get. You don't get to be picking and choosing. It's just, I got cash, you got pills? Yeah, I got pills. Okay, here's cash. It's that simple. And then the other 3 times, she says that she went to a guy named Robert Crozier. And that the way she met with this guy, Robbie, was that she met him at a Maverick in Draper. And she went there multiple times. And the only time she went to a Maverick in Draper, Maverick is a gas station, is to do these drug transactions. That she said, hey, what kind of car are you in? Here's how far away I am. Hey, I'm here. And the guy was like, okay, I'm in this kind of car. And he went over, he got her cash, he drove off. He goes, yeah, my guy's got some. So Robbie didn't have the drugs. He knew a guy. He's the guy who's got a guy. And so he went to go to his guy, and he came back with some lightish blue pills. She goes, they were in like a plastic baggie, just a little baggie, transparent. And there were a handful of pills, and she took them. And Kouri had paid $1,000 for them. Then she left them at one of the houses that she had helped clean that Kouri had flipped, called the Midway Mansion. She left them there, and that's where she got the cash from, and that's where she left the pills. And that happened twice, where she dropped pills off at the mansion, then she went to Draper, got these pills, paid $1,000, same thing. Then the 3rd time that she got from Robbie, the 4th time getting drugs altogether for Kouri after Eric Richins had died, that transaction was paid for with a check. And I could not believe that. You don't pay, I don't know where you would get drugs from, okay? Like, marijuana is legalized. I wouldn't know where to get it. I wouldn't know what to do with it. However, I know you don't pay for drugs with cash or with checks. You use cash because checks are traceable. There's a traceability. But they shrugged it off, and it was from Kouri's cleaning business. She wrote a check for $1,300, gave it to Carmen. Carmen then cashed it. She left $300 in her bank account, took the other $1,000 out, and then she did another transaction. And she said that each time, she's like, I didn't know what they were. I didn't take them out and count them. They were just like 20-ish pills. She was like, I don't know. And they were all various shades of blue. Dropped it off because she was trying to get clean. So she wasn't trying to like get in on this stuff. And she had gotten in trouble in her drug court because of this, because one of the times when she was supposed to show up to her drug court, she missed it because she was doing a drug deal. And so she'd gotten in trouble for that. And then she also had lied to the drug court. She was given 10 hours of community service. And Kouri typed up a fake letterhead and said that she worked at a fictional ranch. And that in 10 hours, 5 hours over the course of 2 days, Kouri had written a letterhead that had claimed that in that time, Carmen had power washed all the stalls and the hen houses, and she baled hay and waxed all the saddles and helped put the kids on it and walked the horses around the corral. They knew it was a lie, and then she not only had to spend time in jail for that, but she was given additional community service. And yeah. And I found that to be very, very credible of her. She wasn't saying, yeah, I was on and off using, I had failed some of my urine analysis, and I had gotten in trouble, and I did turn in fake stuff to the court. And, you know, she's not trying to make it sound like she's a perfect person. She was trying to say what she did. She also showed pictures, and there were screenshots of text messages that, by the way, were gotten from Kouri's phone, because Carmen deleted all of hers. But she had some photos. She was like, yeah, I sent this photo to let the guy know what I look like so that he was, you know, getting drugs to the right person, because if you're doing a drug deal, you want to make sure you're handing your stuff to the right person. And then we went into cross-examination. I'm going to do that because what happened on cross-examination between days 4 and 5 are very similar. I was annoyed with the defense. So let's check into that. Thank you so much for listening. Again, Outside Drawer, all resources will be linked below, and I will talk to you in the next one. Bye, my lovely law humans.